Greetings, animation lovers, and welcome to the Cartoon Show.
Hey. Sorry about that, guys. I just woke up from my normal snooze, but we have something pretty big here.
Yep. What you're watching right now is the 100th video we've ever shared on our Cartoon Show YouTube page. And to say thanks for watching and supporting our show for the past 2 years, we decided to upload a never-before-seen video.
Yeah, he's right, guys. On November 5th, 2024, we had a special opportunity to interview Geoff Valent, the animation supervisor for the Cartoon Network City Bumpers back in the early 2000s. And in fact, we had a very fun discussion with him about the bumpers and how they were made, and also how he's currently working on a little project with some people to bring it back to life with Unreal Engine. But the problem was that we were never able to find the perfect time to release this video until right now.
So, right now, for all our nearly 5,000 subscribers, we're about to show that interview we recorded last year.
But before we show it, we do need to express something before we do. Please note that there's actually a couple things. First and foremost, we had some connection issues with the way it was screen recorded, so please note that some audio parts may be corrupted, and then, like, the audio or the picture freezes every now and then, so please keep that in mind. So there's nothing we can really do to fix that, so sorry about that.
And some of the things we talk about were, like, a bit outdated by a year.
Yeah.
So be aware about that as well. And we did try to edit out some of the freezes and corrupted bits of dialogue without tampering with what Geoff was telling us about Cartoon Network City.
Yeah.
So please be aware about that.
So yeah, sorry about all that, but it's the best we can do. Also, most importantly, like I've said in a couple interviews in the past, please note that since this is a live premiere right now, Geoff won't be able to answer any of the questions you guys have in the chat because, of course, well, since this was many months in advance, this was way pre-recorded, so it's not a live thing, so please keep that in mind as well.
Yep. But now with all that aside, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this never-before-seen installment of the Cartoon Show.
And thank you for sticking with us. Please enjoy.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Cartoon Show.
Hello.
Today, we actually have a very special guest for you guys. And since this year is Cartoon Network City's 20th anniversary, we decided to get someone very special for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our very special guest, Geoff Valent. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, if you're wondering why it's daylight here for him and not for us, it's because he's calling us all the way from Australia, the home of Bluey, which explains why he's wearing a Bluey Christmas shirt.
Had to. I'm sorry.
Before we get into the question, do you mind telling our audience what you did at Cartoon Network?
So technically, I work for Animal Logic, which is a post-production film house here in Sydney. You probably know Animal Logic for the Lego movies, for The Matrix, things like that.
And Happy Feet. You guys did Happy Feet too, right?
And Happy Feet, yeah. Can't forget Happy Feet, Guardians of Ga'Hoole. There's a lot of films.
Yep.
Okay. I was one of the leads on the Cartoon Network City project at Animal Logic.
Yep, and that's exactly what we're going to be getting into today, since, like we mentioned, Cartoon Network City just turned the big 2-0 this year.
I know, I can't believe it.
Wow.
Okay, so Geoff, before you got into working at Cartoon Network, what basically inspired you to get into animation? Like, what was the spark that inspired you to get into the world of making animated TV shows or movies, or in this case, commercial material?
Yeah.
Is it too cliche to say Fantasia and every Sesame Street animation ever?
What?
Whoa. So, Sorcerer Mickey and all those cartoon segments from Sesame Street inspired you to work at Cartoon Network?
Well, it inspired me to go into animation, period. I was hooked from as long as I can remember. I vividly remember drawing pictures of dinosaurs and wizards and all sorts of things all the way back as far as kindergarten.
Wow. But since we were just talking about animation, is there a reason, like, how did the whole CN City on-air look thing get developed in the beginning? Like, and if you happen to know why, why did Cartoon Network want to bring this to the airwaves all across the world in the first place?
Okay, so this is again, I'm remembering this from 20 years ago. So
Okay.
when the Cartoon Network City project came up, Cartoon Network in Atlanta approached a couple of houses. So they specifically approached specific production companies and asked them to pitch on a rebrand of the network.
Okay.
Yeah, because Cartoon Network changed their logo in 2004, right?
That was actually us. That was our art director, Grant Freckleton, was the one who actually came up with that design.
What?
Whoa, I actually did not know.
Wow.
Who designed the logo?
Yeah, that was Grant Freckleton was behind that one.
All right, so, but how did Cartoon Network City get together?
That was the era where they were doing the kind of live-action crossover Cartoon Network bumpers with the characters in the real world.
Yeah.
So they had shown stuff like that to us, but they wanted something a little different from that. So when the project first came into Animal, the original pitch was basically myself, Grant Freckleton, and a guy by the name of Matt Smith.
Okay.
So they basically came to us with the ideas, and we didn't want to do the exact same thing that they'd already done with the 2D characters in a live-action environment.
Mm-hmm.
We had talked about
like they did when Scrappy lost it, or the parking lot promo and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that was what they were coming off the back of, and they've seen some success with that, but they wanted to take it a little further. So we kind of brainstormed it at Animal Logic, and we had this idea, this realization that creating a full 3D world for the characters to inhabit would actually be far more interesting than just continuously plopping them in the real world.
Okay.
So we wanted to create a space for them that they could kind of explore that almost was like a character in itself.
Okay.
Oh, so you guys thought of making your own, like, almost realistic but 3D environment for all the Cartoon Network characters who were around at the time?
Yeah, so one of the big things that we used in our pitch was the word hyperreal. So it looks real, but it's like you can see that it's just not. It's just a little, almost like a miniature. We wanted the environments to almost look like it was a miniature, like we'd actually built these in the real world.
That's
and
fair.
Then yeah. So it was the hyperreal was the look that we were going for.
Okay.
Yeah, and you guys pretty much like used like many of the show locations, like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and the Sexter V Treehouse from Kids Next Door and Townsville.
Yeah.
And other locations, but like combined together like a big photo collage.
Yeah, like a fusion or something.
And I also like how you had like little nods to many of the iconic like creators of Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera and Mel Blanc and all that, with little things to look for in the background in these many bumpers.
Yeah. Cartoon Network, they were a really amazing group of guys to work with Kevin Fitzgerald and Pete Johnson and those guys at Cartoon Network in Atlanta, who were doing most of the writing for the scripts and leading the creative. They were incredibly collaborative with us, and they kind of gave us free reign with a lot of that stuff.
And our next question is, how long does it take to make a 5 to 30 second Cartoon Network City bumper, since technology was still pretty new in the mid-2000s?
Yeah. So it's kind of like how long is a piece of string. So when we won the project after our initial pitch, which was just a quick, we built Dexter's Lab, and there's a bumper that I posted from time to time. It's Dexter's Lab that then pans up to his house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that on your Twitter page, which was really cool.
So that was the original pitch bumper that we did, the kind of the test proof of concept that we did for showing a 3D world.
Oh.
So when we were greenlit to go on the project, we kind of started on this asset build where we got a big team of people together at Animal with 3D artists and the art department, and we basically designed starting with the main city, the main street of downtown.
Yeah.
And so there was this big asset build of putting all the, building everything and putting it together. And from there, once we had those assets in place, kind of the way you would make a movie, we've got all of our environments in place. Mm-hmm. Then it's just a matter of, taking the scripts, storyboarding them, doing some layouts in 3D, giving those renders of the backgrounds to the 2D artists so that they've got reference for doing the 2D animation. Then giving the 3D environments back to the artists at our end, at Animal's end, to do the lighting and the final touch-ups and do those renders. And then we combined everything in After Effects.
Cool.
Yeah, that actually is pretty cool how you got like many iconic Cartoon Network characters together in one place, but making it look so like theatrical quality animation for like a cable network.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot of that had to do with the collaboration that we had going on. Again, we had a lot of really excited people to work on it, so there was a lot of passion that went into it. And we built a very simple pipeline that made it easy to move forward, and also very flexible. And just like I say, hard work. In those days, we worked pretty hard on it. We worked a lot of long hours, but we were all young and passionate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of these bumpers, we know that there's been a plethora of these, but we want to know, do you have any personal favorites that you've made over the years?
Look, I was always a big fan of the interstitials that we did, which was the long 1-minute ones.
We've seen many of those.
Okay.
So the 1-minute ones were always my favorite to work on because we got to tell a much longer story. I'd say Laundry Day is right up there at the top of my favorites.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the whole Johnny Bravo, Samurai Jack shipping thing that we've been seeing online.
Which is funny. I didn't even know about that until about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I was on the internet one day and I was just looking at something on Pinterest, I think it was, and I saw a drawing someone had done of Johnny Bravo and Samurai Jack, out at like a couple, and I was like, what is this? And I clicked on it, and I followed down that rabbit hole and discovered the whole, Samurai Bravo love affair, and I thought, it's brilliant. I think the great thing about cartoons is once you create them, then the audience can run with them and create their own thing. And I think that's actually, a lot of people are like, oh, no, we shouldn't do that. It should be exactly the way that the artist intended it. But that's not, when you're creating a world, you kind of have to give it over to the audience a little bit.
Did you have any other favorite bumpers to work on, specifically the 1-minute ones?
With the 1-minute ones, I mean, look, they were all pretty fun. I think the musical one is fantastic. That one was a really fun one to do.
Okay.
A lot of fun singing about their city.
It was, anytime we got to explore lots of characters within the city and bring that city to life, I think that was always the fun ones. I mean, a lot of the short bumpers are fun, and they tell a fun story. They kind of expand a little bit, but I always like the idea of, again, that these characters are all living in this world.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah. Especially if you're telling a story from like in a movie theater or trying to find a place to park or street light with the
blinking lights or whatever.
The crosswalk one. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The crosswalk one. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. I've been asked about it over the years. Are the characters supposed to be the characters from the show, or are they something else like living in that world? And I think it's kind of a fun crossover if they can be both. They're the characters from their shows, but they're also these unique characters living in a world together. So they're not absolutely canon to their show. There's something different. So it's almost like a multiverse.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. And, okay, so our next question is, according to the Cartoon Network City Facebook page you created, you said that there was a pitch for a full-length animated series that would have been set in Cartoon Network City, but somehow it did not end up getting made. What would this show be about if it did get greenlit, and why did it not get into further development?
All right, so the Facebook page, I should mention, that was actually started by a group of fans in France.
Okay.
And I was totally unaware of it, and I got contacted by one of them at one point because they'd seen my Vimeo page where I kind of dump a lot of my work on. And they contacted me and said, where did you get these high-quality bumpers? And I explained my background. And then they basically asked me to become an admin on there, and it's become kind of a standard Friday thing for me to just do a fun post of some of the bumpers.
Wow.
So it's become a great way to connect with the fans, and my mind is boggled by the fact that 20 years later, there's still a lot of fans of that era.
Wow.
Of work, and it's both heartwarming and a testament to the hard work that the team put in on bringing that to life.
What about the CN City TV show we heard about?
Well, so the pitch. So it's an interesting story. We had been, again, when you put all the bumpers that we created together, there's basically almost 2 hours of footage there. So we essentially created more than a movie's worth of animation over the couple of years that we were working on the project.
Wow.
The guys back in Atlanta had been asking us for a while, do you guys want to pitch something? Do you have any ideas? Because we had this really great reciprocal relationship with them. And with me, I was always interested in writing and stuff as well. So I've been doing writing some of the bumpers and sending them to the guys. And they were like, come on, Geoff, come up with if you got any ideas. And it just seemed very natural to me that we created this entire world of assets, of 3D models.
Yeah. With
all these characters. It seemed very natural to me to actually turn that world into a full series. So we had a pitch that we put together that was basically, it was kind of going to follow, it was almost like a Melrose Place of Cartoon Network City. And while it would have all of the Cartoon Network characters that we knew, it was going to follow a group of characters who wanted to become those big celebrity icons. They wanted to be those big, huge cartoon characters. So, a lot of them were going to be working jobs as waitresses and stuff like that, but also going on, going out on auditions for shows and things like that. One of the kind of things that I wanted to crowbar into the show was the idea that we would actually use the show as a vehicle to pitch new shows.
Wow.
So let me get this straight. So this Cartoon Network City Melrose Place like series would be about an original group of characters wanting to be the next Cartoon Network stars?
Yeah.
I would definitely be interested in seeing a show like that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring all of the Cartoon Network, all of the Hanna-Barbera. I wanted to bring the whole world into it. So
wow.
You have old celebrity stars. It was a lot of the old the powers that be Animal at the time didn't want to go down that road. They wanted to focus on movies and things like that. So that was their choice. Unfortunately, it never really
the copyright.
Oh no, the copyrights. Look, copyright is always an interesting issue with Cartoon Network. I get this a lot from fans. They're like, "Well, why didn't you do this character? Why did you do that character?" It's like, and they always say, "Well, because Cartoon Network owns them all." And I'm like, "Well, they do, but there's a lot of internal agreements that they have with their creators about how those things can be used, and who gets paid every time this character shows up, things like that. And then there's the voice actors as well. So." It's not as simple as, well, Cartoon Network owns them all, but yeah, they do, but there's a lot of process that costs a lot of money. When you start having to get the legal team involved and you have to get the other creators involved to sign off on things, it becomes a little more complicated.
That's, wow. So there was definitely a lot to that. But speaking of things for today, nowadays we've been seeing that you've been putting together some kind of a community project with Unreal Engine or something like that to recreate CN City as kind of like a fully explorable, real-time, open-world environment, something like that for fans. And how are you planning to put this together? And are you planning to put this on maybe a console, like a PlayStation, or maybe VR devices like Oculus or something like that?
So over the years, even back when we were making these, we used to joke amongst ourselves of how cool it would be to have this as a real-time world. But of course, obviously, in those times, you just couldn't do the kind of thing we were doing in real time. I mean, even with the stuff that we had we had to kind of load bits in and out just to render things.
Yeah.
So I've taken a couple of stabs over the years. Played around with some of the models from Cartoon Network City that I have, just to see how it runs in Unreal or Unity, things like that. and it's quite cool actually. Being able to walk around Unreal City in real time. And I've had fans who have been sending me their models that they've been making as kind of fan models of buildings from the city over the years, and sending me renders saying, do you think this looks right? How does this match up to what you guys did originally?
Okay.
And so I realized the only way to kind of create that world, if it was going to be created as a full real-time explorable world, was to get a pool of people together. So I talked to some of the guys who had been sending me their models, asking for feedback, and I said, would you guys be interested in being involved in this? It's a fan project, so it's not like there's any money behind it. It's not like we can actually make any money off of it because it's owned by Cartoon Network technically.
Oh, okay.
So the goal with the project is to create almost I hate to say the word Grand Theft Auto, but almost a GTA style open world. And basically put it out there as an open source project once we've got it to a stage we're happy with. Put it out there as an open source project that anybody can take and run with. And I want to see, I want to add VR support. I want to add, obviously screen support so people can play it screen, windowed or on VR. Long term, we would add, we want to add multiplayer support so people can be all like VR, interact with each other. I would love to see people take that world and create their own bumpers in the spirit of the original CN City bumpers.
Well, I actually know a guy who's been making CN City fan art online. We're adding like the modern characters in with the classic characters.
That's actually part of the project. Is we want to add spaces for the projects, the shows that came after. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Adventure Time, Gumball, regular show. I would love to see all of those happen in Cartoon Network City.
Yes.
Technically, in the OKKO crossover Nexus episode, many of those modern locations were put in with CN City after it got repaired after Strike was striked out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually sent some of the high-res renders of that city to the guys at Cartoon Network when they were working on it.
What?
Just for reference, there's a couple of shots in there that are directly out of the renders from CN City.
What?
Where they basically kind of recreated them in 2D.
Oh my
God. Wow, we've seen that all this time, and we my mind's blown after that.
It's one of those things nowadays we talk a lot about metaverse stuff and things like that. Back when we made these, there was no idea. Nobody was talking about metaverses or anything. And I always kind of pictured in my head, I always pictured CN City as a metaverse for Cartoon Network, it doesn't have to just be the Cartoon Network shows. It can be all of the Warner Brothers, the DC characters, everything that they have in their world could be in that world. I guess, one of the things that I loved growing up, Roger Rabbit was a big motivation for me when it came out.
Okay.
I was just finishing up school and in college at that point. And so, their whole Toon World and that was like, wow, just imagine this whole world of cartoons. And then you realize it can encompass so much more.
Well,
I'd love to see a Harry Potter section of Cartoon Network City World.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm going to see if I can try and collaborate on this project in some way or another. Maybe come up with some ideas for locations, little Easter eggs, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Look, I'll share the link with you guys again. I'm sure you've already got it for the Discord channel where we're running everything. Mm-hmm. We've got sections on the Discord where, it's just for people who want to watch the project. And then we've got another section for people who are working on the project that we're kind of keeping, separate just to manage the project better. But we've got people who are doing writing. We've got people who are doing just, environment art. We've got people who are actually building models and things like that. It's kind of a fun. It's been quite fun so far. In fact, I'm due to do an update for the public soon, just to show some of the buildings where they're at. But it's coming together quite nicely.
All right.
This question is for later on, but I think we can ask it now. Do you think that maybe you can show an exclusive first look at this for our viewers, since this is like an exclusive video?
I can't rate the second, but I can send you guys a video as soon as I've got one ready.
Please,
okay, well,
please.
Like development artwork and some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got parts of the assets already running in Unreal. It looks really fantastic. One of the reasons I chose Unreal, I mean, my background in recent years is doing a lot of stuff in Unity, but having that real-time ray tracing in Unreal Engine, things like that, Lumen, all of that, one of the things going back to the original development of the Cartoon Network City is we were using a very early version of V-Ray at the time, which is a kind of a real-time global illumination lighting engine.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people were doing that back then because the render times are, when you're doing reality-based lighting, when you're doing physics-based lighting where you're bouncing virtual photons around, the render times can be quite astronomical. But the result is what we got. It looks super real.
Wow.
Okay. So we already know that the CN City Unreal project is going to be like a fully explorable 3D world. But are you guys planning on adding traditional 2D animation for the characters, if the characters are going to be in the game itself?
Or is it just going to be like an open world environment of its own that we'll have to explore? Like, are you going to add like maybe characters as Easter eggs or something like that?
That's the goal. Yeah. So the goal is to the initial version of this, when we kind of give it out to the public, it's not going to be, I guess, what you would technically call a game. It's just going to be a place that people can explore. What I'm hoping when we open it up to the community and make it open source is that's when the amazing community out there will take it and turn it into a game or turn it into multiple games.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's pretty interesting.
I'd love to see a racing game happening around the Cartoon Network City world.
That'd be pretty sick.
Well,
yeah.
There have been some Cartoon Network racing games in the past.
Yeah, there was one for like the PlayStation 2 DS or something like that. It came out like years ago or something like that. But there is one more question that I do have here, and this may just never, ever, ever happen, obviously, because of how everything's been going in the animation industry right now. But if Cartoon Network or Warner Brothers Discovery in general ever approached you and your team ever again, and your CN City thing had the biggest chance of coming back in a possible way, how would you do this? Would you do it with even more bumpers for the Cartoon Network of today? Maybe social media content? Or maybe a special for the Cartoon Network and Max or something like that?
Look, I have my ideas on. I would make it as broad a platform as possible. When you're dealing with a company as big as Cartoon Network, they've got their own plans. I mean, it's going back to even the original bumpers. When we made them, we were making them specifically for the U.S., but then their affiliates from they wanted it. So we started making bumpers, for South America, bumpers for Asia, things like that.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot goes back to, Cartoon Network is not just one studio in America. They're all over the world. They've got, offices in every country. So you kind of have to create content for everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
But if Cartoon Network were to approach me and say, we want to do something with Cartoon Network City again, I would do it in a heartbeat, and I can say most of the original team would be like, let's go.
Yeah. If Cartoon Network City ever comes back, I would love to see like characters like Steven, Finn, Jake, Mordecai, Rigby, Craig, Kelsey, JP, and countless others interacting with like the Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Not sure about Johnny Bravo because of the controversy he's been getting into these days. And other classics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, for me, I always wanted to have more. Sorry, say that again?
I mean, if Cartoon Network's still making crossovers like their Teen Titans Go WB 100 special or the upcoming Jellystone special that's slated to release either later this year or next year, I would love to see a Cartoon Network City half-hour special or series or even a movie. Because you said that this is kind of like a movie altogether.
That'd be sick.
Again, there was a lot there. And one of the things that I always wanted to try and do with Cartoon Network City while we were making them was I actually wanted to create serialized bumpers where you would have, a 10 or 20-second bumper that was like a cliffhanger bumper, and then there would be another bumper after that where you could actually take all of those bumpers assemble them together and have like a 5-minute story that played out.
Okay.
Well, anyway, thank you very much, Geoff, for being a guest on our show and telling us all about how Cartoon Network City was made and about your project and everything else. Can you tell our audience again how they can contact you and be a part of the Cartoon Network City Unreal project?
Well, we have a Discord channel. I'll share the link with you guys so you can share that with your viewers. But yeah, and of course they can talk to me on there.
All right.
And I'm gonna definitely see if I can become a part of your team, so that way I can like help out with development and maybe provide some 2D artwork for like the buildings and stuff like that. Maybe come up with some ideas for new locations.
Absolutely. We've already got members on the team. Some of them are just doing writing. They're writing new bumpers ideas, things like that. I'm
going to go writing too, so I'm down for doing some writing.
Absolutely. It's like I say, it's been a real, it's kind of a no stress project. We're not expecting anybody to, we realize everybody has lives outside of doing this project on the side. But if it's a great opportunity I see I'm a big fan of sharing knowledge. So I think it's a great opportunity for people who maybe haven't been working in the industry for 10, 20 years and want to, get into the 3D industry, and they've got some of the base skills, and it's a great place to talk to some of the guys who have been doing it a little bit longer and learn from them and build everybody's skills up.
All right.
Yeah.
And create a network of friends scattered around the world that can work on cool stuff.
Cool.
Sort of a cartoon fan network.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for joining us for our special interview with Geoff Valent, who is calling us all the way from Australia. Be sure to like, comment, share this video, subscribe. We'll leave a Discord invite link that's like non-expirable. We'll leave a link in the description or in a pinned comment below this video, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.